All right, we're making some progress. Yeah, Eric, we'll finish them tonight. Don't worry. It's not that big a deal. And I might actually have time to eat dinner and have another beer. I've only had one. Don't worry. We're at the point now. We've assembled the sliders. We've assembled the bearings. We actually put the Zerk fittings in. The one thing I failed to mention is that before you tighten it down onto the slider block, make sure you put the Zerk fitting in and grease them up beforehand, because the wrench, well, if you use an end wrench, an open end wrench, it would fit on there. I prefer to put them in with sockets. And the actual grease gun itself will not fit on that Zerk when they're tightened down. As you can see, there's, maybe a 30-second of clearance in there. So before I tightened them all down, I went and greased them all up. That's the green grease that's in there. I do have a grease gun. It's all ready to roll. The big thing and reason for this video is I wanted to make mention something that Luca did when he designed these pieces, and he really put some thought into it and kind of took a couple steps that were a pain in the butt with the 3D pieces and fixed it with the aluminum pieces. So this piece and this piece are the same. This bearing would go right in there with those 4 holes, and it would sit on the top, and then your motor and your motor adapter, your cone, whatever you want to call it, would fit right in there. Notice any difference? Height. Let me tell you why. So when you would put this in before on the bearing, and notice there's threads, and we have this really nifty nut that goes on there. Now, it doesn't have to be tightened real tight because there's a little lock in there. And so you would spin this down on there, and then it would get below the surface. And the only way you could really ever tighten it was to take, I took a 13th, 16th socket. Some people have modified end wrenches and filed them and turned them, that way. It just doesn't make a lot of sense. It's not very practical. So, good job, Luca, thinking ahead. This piece, nothing wrong with it. Don't get me wrong, the 3D pieces are great. It's just I'm a big fan of kind of doing things quickly and getting them right. So if you use the 3D pieces, it's fine. You just remember you're going to need to take an extra step to get that nut a little bit tighter in there and down in there, and it's not necessarily enjoyable. So I've assembled, it went through, took the end wrench. I have a vise with aluminum jaws in it, which works perfect for this, because then I can put this in the vise. Don't use steel vise jaws on this. If you don't have aluminum jaws on your vise, then use some wood and clamp it with some wood. Again, you don't need to make it that tight, so don't feel like you need to crank on it. But once it was in the vise, and then go ahead and tighten it down, snug, not a lot, and then go ahead and take your Allen wrench and tighten the set in there, and you'll be good. So we're getting there. I'll do these 4 more, and then we'll go ahead and drop them in, and we're almost there.